on an R button instead of a W, but that's, you know, it's still going to be a problem here after that level 6 mark is going to be hit. But still, I think that if it's a messy early to mid game, Afrika do have the opportunity of setting themselves up for something fantastic. Plus, if Fly's on form, we've seen these scatters really change games many times over the years, but especially recently. I feel like so much of our LCK mid lanes have just been relishing the fact that Syndra is back in.
Yeah, it's crazy because it felt like some of the, when you consider how many games of Syndra we had in spring, I mean, she was almost in every single game of League of Legends that we played because she was a safe first pick on blue side, she was great on red side, whatever. It's crazy how small the sample size is here in summer, but it feels like every single one has been so impressive. And maybe that's just a little bit of bias because we haven't seen it in a while, but I just don't think some of the stuff we've seen already in the last 2 weeks of play compared to what we saw all of spring is just kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, no, it's pretty ridiculous. I want to throw some stats at everyone.
Awesome.
Deft, Ashe is his third highest win rate of all time, sitting at 75%.
That's pretty high.
This particular pick, it's not too bad. Second highest, of course, is Misfortune at 83% over about 20 games, so not a huge amount. And then, of course, his highest win rate is his 88% win rate Jinx over 32 games, which is just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, some of these stats are just like out of, you know, a sports movie or something. Like it's not actually real.
we're playing Moneyball and we're like trying to sell Deft or something like that. Like, I don't know.
I feel like his face should be on a billboard, and it also just has his Jinx stats like right below for some reason.
It is on a billboard, actually. Is they're going to be fighting. Leo already getting exhausted, going down pretty low, as they do manage to stun up Vista for the moment, but the Tahm Kench probably going to be okay, just restoring that health himself, and he's just licking Lehens as often as he possibly can.
There's that win rate popping up. This is LCK exclusively. Your win rate was total games, I think, career, if I'm not mistaken.
It was, so it included his time over on EDG as well. But still, pretty respectable here in the LCK also. As, of course, if you're going to remember the famous Ashes, Prey has to be mentioned as well. But,
the Prey arrow, famous of all time.
Indeed. His skill shot accuracy was just extraordinary for an AD carry player back in the day. As we're just checking out where Dread is in the jungle, the Hawkshot will spot exactly what's going on. And Humble Life Esports continue to have control of at least this bottom lane. As you can see, though, Afrika pushing out topside very comfortably. And that is going to be most likely their point of attack this game because, of course, Keen has just been so powerful, has also taken the Hail of Blades for even more control.
Yeah, it's really nasty what you can do in this early part of the game. Wukong will catch up, though, and post 6 will have a lot of opportunities himself, as Willer's going to hover around here. But it's so difficult, you know, at this stage of the game to actually set up the gank here with a nice pillar.
Yep. And he just wanted to buy some time while he waited for the Rift Scuttler to spawn.
Yeah, just goes ahead and take it. Will be a split between him and Dread. As Chovy's having a great lane so far, you can see that even though this is not one of his more iconic ones, and it's a lot more of a boring Chovy champion, he is 13-7.
Yeah, this is certainly one of his high win rate champions, as Dread is going to stop Morgan's back.
Morgan kept channeling it. He's like, maybe he won't do it, because he could see him obviously on the ward, but this is really frustrating.
I mean, King can just boomerang him at any point, as now he's looking to try and get out of the way. You can see the vision here, and Dread is just corralling this Wukong.
They actually can look for a kill now.
Yeah, let's see what they can actually get done here as the decoy goes down. Oh no, Dread gets out of the way, and Morgan can't find the auto. Oh, it's a disaster. First blood goes to Keen, though. Fantastic news for Afrika Freaks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice setup here for Afrika Freaks. The timing is perfect because the Narbar is coming online. You can stop that pack no matter what, and even if you're on a ward, it doesn't matter. There's no way, unless you just mess it up, that he's going to be able to get out there. And Morgan actually loses Flash as well, doesn't get the counter kill. So this is a massive, massive lead now for Afrika Freaks.
And they can just come back and do it again.
Yes, and it's even easier the second time.
Yeah. Oh, no. Not what you want to see. Often we do see Wukongs fall behind early, but
this is something else entirely.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfectly timed gank because they know the Narbar's here and they have the wave timed. And this is exactly why Morgan wanted back at this moment, so he could come back with full health and be set up to deal with this. He gets his first item. It's a lot easier to survive this, but it's perfectly timed there to make sure he can't get out. And he's stuck there, and They don't get a plate, but I guess that's the one consolation prize here.
Yeah, still got a few minutes to grab a few of those if they'd like to. And we'll see whether they do. Chovy going to teleport back to his lane also to pick up this wave and grab the CS advantage once again. As we've got a Freaka moving down towards the river. And this is what they need to play around, right? These skirmishes are where a Freaka are so powerful. And I don't even think they need level 6 necessarily with just how strong Syndra is in these pick scenarios.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, Vista's going to miss the lick. As Def now looking to try and catch up to him. There's the Abyssal Dive as Lehens be able to just stand beside Leo.
Still got his flash, which is quite massive, and this could definitely make a pretty big impact on, you know, obviously follow-up ganks. See, the win rate for Trundle is actually insane.
Yeah.
As we were pointing out earlier. Oh. Okay, once again.
I've seen this one before as Keen almost does it by himself, tanking the turret for now as Morgan tries to take down Dread. It's going to be pretty close, but he's going to say, you know, not close.
No, not quite. Thumbs up. And that's going to be some plates going down this time around on the top side of the map, so this is even way more valuable.
Yeah.
Not to mention that Morgan has no teleport, so has to walk back. So, I mean, the amount of value they're getting right now is insane. And yes, there will be a Drake traded on the other side of the map, but this is just a huge, huge problem is that there's so much farm loss, more than the 2 kills, which are quite huge in their own right. But we're looking at a Wukong who's now finding himself 25 CS down in a game like this. Not to mention,
like, down a level right now. It might even be 2 by the time the dust settles as well. Like, oh, it's a really scary time as that's a great scatter onto Chovy, who just shifts some sands. Gets himself out of the way of Dread, who was only level 5, so not necessarily threatening a kick or anything, but Dread being very active around the map so far, as Will is going to look to try and steal away his blue buff. Doesn't have Smite, as he's going to look to try and lock this one down. He will be able to do so, chomps it away.
It's really common to see that blue buff taken by blue side teams who end up losing their top, or losing, you know, top control of the map, even when it's the Rift Herald. You go over there and take that away as a kind of consolation prize for you, but again, the trade-off here, way, way better for a Freaka right now. This game is not unwinnable for Hanwha Life Esports or anything like that, but these next few fights are going to be so difficult because the Wukong is just not going to be able to make a big impact like he would want to in this early mid-game.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that the champions on a Freaka's side just peak a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Hanwha's do, as they're going to spot Dread out. Chains of Corruption still going to connect, though, as Deft is going to find the arrow onto Dread. Great defensive play as Vista's going to avoid the stun. And Hanwha are going to be able to get away with just a flash from the Tahm Kench.
And they're going to get a reset here, and the Rift Herald will spawn. This is going to be a really pivotal moment for Hanwha Life Esports. If they can somehow win a miracle fight here, wrestle control of this Rift Herald away, they're back in the game. You can give a lot of that money to Morgan, and suddenly he's relevant again. But if you lose control of this, and lose the fight, for example, like if it goes the worst way possible, then a Freaka Freaks' lead just explodes. So you have to be so careful about how you handle this, but you don't have the option to say, no, I won't go there. You actually have to go. You can see that there was a moment of hesitation for Deft, but he is going to walk up because you can't just have him far bottom side. The Ashes are going to get too much value out of that. You have to win this exchange somehow, some way.
Well, they're going to try and push in Fly at least to start this one off, as Lehens is going to finally get here. Level behind Vista, but that 2-level advantage in the top lane is what I'm noticing. That's where things
it's
get
ugly.
Really, really difficult. Of course, Morgan is going to be able to hit level 7, but it is pretty close to a 2-level advantage.
It's pretty massive, and you know, you can see the CS is starting to become an even bigger issue here. As Hanwha Life Esports do have the faster group up here, they're going to have mid-prio. But there's so many ways to collapse in on top of this composition, especially the Syndra right now. Dread can kick somebody in. You've got to be so careful about clearing this vision even. They get through, though.
Yep, they're going to look for it. Starting off the Rift Herald for now. Keen, not much of a Nahbar at this point. Does have his flash available. Doesn't have a wave to build that Nahbar up on either, as this Rift Herald going down relatively low. Let's see how Freaka managed to do this one, as Willa taken down to about half health. Scatter, not exactly the greatest one, as there's the flash in. Cyclone's good, but lands. Gets himself out of there with his flash. Morgan in trouble as the exhaust comes down onto Dread. Keen, they're trying to keep him in control as he flash Nars, but only finds the Tahm Kench. Vista has grey health to eat through, as well as he abyssally dives away. Deft tries to get in there to get some damage down, but it looks like a Freaka have taken control of HLE. They'll pick her up, but Hanwha Life don't lose any members.
Yeah. Few flashes expended here for the side of Afrika Freaks. Dread had to smite early to stay alive there, but was able to secure the Rift Herald regardless. And this was just an issue of, well, I don't want to use your wallet term, maybe the coin purses were a little bit too heavy at this stage since we're very early on. But the stats are better across the board here, even with the somewhat poorly timed Narbar here from Keen. He has to flash in to force them away, but they just have too many stats at this stage. And that's the full turret down. You don't have a turret anymore, Morgan. It's just going from bad to worse.
Oh man, 56 to 96.
Yeah, it is basically unrecoverable at this point. And he had a great engage, all things considered, but it still just wasn't enough.
Yeah, and also he just doesn't have the stats to back it up,
Exactly.
right? Like, he goes in, gets a bit of that CC down, but it is certainly dangerous. Let's see whether he tries to get some sort of freeze happening here or something like that to claw back this lane. Unlocking Keen might be a scary prospect as we got 40 seconds on the Drake. It's just a cloud, but we'll be able to find out exactly which soul we're going to be dealing with after that one does fall.
Yeah, Afrika should be looking to take that away. That's one way that Honor Life Esports could get back in as a pretty nice Drake advantage, but neither of these in isolation are going to be extremely powerful, even if Honor Life Esports were able to take it. And right now, looking at the positioning of the Drake, there's vision advantage here for Afrika. They have Prio at the moment, so
whoa.
It's, yeah, 2156. That was the exact number at the moment.
It's the almost the entirety of the gold lead is Keen, outside of that bit of extra onto Dread, but Elisin likely to be a little bit richer than a Trundle, who is far more utility-based, of course. Is Dread going to come down here?
Yeah, a little.
Spot out Willa with a Q, so we've got a potential 3v3. Teleport available for Keen, Morgan, Chovy, but Fly doesn't have his.
Keen's actually just walked up in here. He's actually sneaked in with the little bit of advantages he has on the top side of the map. He can just walk down here and actually looks to be starting Drake himself. And the fact that Dread is here means rotating up is not really an option, even with Chovy having Prio in mid. And this is going to be one of those moments where somebody's going to criticize Chovy for just farming, but actually he can't do anything. Oh no!
Still going to land even after the flash. That's an easy pickup. As now Lahen's likely to fall as well. It's a double kill for the Trundle. Utility maybe, but perhaps he just builds a Divine Sunder and eats everyone on the map.
Oh, he definitely will be looking to do that at this stage, but that's massive. They're even going to look for the steal here.
Oh, not going to be able to do that. Of course, stealing away from a Syndra is a difficult problem.
Yeah, quite a challenge here for Willer. But, you know, Chovy ends up getting some extra push here, and this is a huge amount of gold going to the bottom side of the map, mostly, unfortunately, to the Trundle, but 2 assists picked up here for depth, which is going to be pretty nice for him.
Yep.
Getting a few plates down here, and I want to see the engage again. I don't know if we're going to go way back in time. Nope, we're going to go right to here. So Willer is hidden, and even with the flash, unfortunately, the pillar just makes this very awkward to avoid. And once you get caught by the arrow, there's no way out. There's so many slows.
Yeah, Deft avoiding the Q on the back end of that as well was really important. Dread, no way of getting in there and putting the Ashe out of position. So just needed to give a bit of a shout out to the sidestep.
Chovy's been having a good lane, you know, but it's not a massive lead by any means. And his positioning in that Rift Herald fight was really good, but okay, just get out of here. But
this mid lane has been an agricultural affair.
Sure,
absolutely,
it certainly has. But his positioning was good in that last Rift Herald fight, and he's going to have to continue to do that because he is going to be kind of one of the big scaling damage dealers, the big hero in a lot of these late game team fights if they are going to win them. So far, he's at least on track. That's the one thing that's going okay here for Honor Life Esports.
This is what isn't.
No.
This lane is just a disaster. As you can see, Keen is just threatening inner turrets right now. Hamel wants nothing to do with it. The rest of the team's like, hey, Morgan, you just try and get whichever creeps you can. And we'll see what we can do from that point. As Dread going to pass through the mid lane, and Morgan breathes a sigh of relief, understanding that there's no Lee Sin to come and get him. Willer going to throw down a pillar as Leo and Lahen's just walk around it, but it is a bit frustrating here.
Really nicely placed pillar there to kind of get out of dodge. Going to clear some of this vision away, but looking for a fight right now is, I don't think, a realistic option here. Going to clear more vision. I actually have a lot of information around this part of the map right now. It's not going to be too impactful at the moment, but will be later.
Yeah.
As Fly is respecting Chovy and Willer so much.
Intelligent with the amount of attention that we have here in the river. As he doesn't really need to worry so much anymore as Keen's going to come around. Keen just having the greatest time ever. Currently 46 CS in the lead. Is now looking for chovy, who shifts sands to get himself out of the way, and it should be pretty comfortable escape here for the Azir. Difficult to lock down the Birdman.
It's often difficult to see how elegant losing lane can look, but I think Fly is showcasing exactly how to respect your opponent, respect also how much attention Willer has been giving to this part of the map, as you mentioned, clearing a lot of that vision away, knowing he's in the vicinity, and also just how much attention he's given chovy in general in their last few best of threes. When you know you have an opportunity to push like this, yeah, you take it, but otherwise he's been kind of hugging his turret this entire time, and as long as he doesn't fall too far behind, he's going to do a lot of damage later, he's going to have a lot of stun potential, and that's exactly what Fly needs to do in this game, and it's great to see him mature again here as a player towards the end of summer. He's really starting to look so much better. Yeah. Not a liability almost ever.
No, I actually think it's fantastic here from Fly, sort of identifying the fact that he's not going to be able to get solo kills onto chovy and things like that, and that's not where they're playing through, right? They've been playing through Keen this entire game, and with that advantage, they should be able to build into a victory, and therefore, you don't necessarily need to push it any harder elsewhere.
Rift Herald started up here for Life Esports, but I don't know if this is a fight you can realistically take.
Well, Q going to connect there onto Vista as Dread thinking about an opportunity to head forward, but not going to take it.
Keen has teleport. Have to respect that.
Yeah, this is really scary. Afrika might actually just give this one up to give Keen even more money. Could theoretically work out here, as of course chovy threatening the Emperor's Divide is scary. And now we're looking for the engage. The arrow comes through. Lehens is going to go golden for the moment, as Morgan now looking for that ultimate knock-up, but is going to have to flash away here. Uses it onto Dread, who's trying to solo out the top laner off to the side, but in comes chovy. Emperor's Divide puts Dread under the turret, and Morgan looks to try and catch up to him, but he's not going to be able to. Keen going to come through and play a little bit of interference, as HLE will be taken here by Willer in the end, but we don't have any kills off the back of this one once again. As chovy looks for Keen here, that's a lot of damage as Deft looks for Fly, but he might have overstepped. He flashes back, takes the ultimate with him, but it is not going to be enough damage to kill.
Now that was actually a really scary moment there for him, but he gets out just the same, and the Rift Herald will go over to Willer and Life Esports. They're also going to take the Drake with them in the win of this fight.
Dread, very sneaky, taking the red buff here, as we've got some question mark pings going down.
He doesn't have vision, I don't believe. Oh, okay, now they do.
Yeah, they are going to be out. Okay, chovy. I think they have an idea of what's happening, but Dread just pops in and takes it down.
Oh my god.
Very comfortably steals it away. Connects the Q there onto Morgan, who tries to decoy his way out. Knows that he's dead and tries to get as much damage as he can, but it's not going to work. Keen's also able to take down the Tahm Kench off to the back end. And Hanwha, they gave Afrika a pretty nice leash there.
Yeah, that was a really nice leash. I mean, the thing is, what Hanwha decided to do there was extremely greedy to try to take the Drake when everyone on Afrika was setting up for the, collapse onto the Drake. Everyone knows it's up. You're rotating in. But, if you lose someone and get the Drake, then you feel okay about this exchange, but you get the Drake stolen and lose the fight. It's not great. Now you're going to lose the bottom turret that comes with it. Yeah, if we go back up to this fight here, this is Afrika actually being decisive, which we have not seen from them a lot. It's one of our biggest criticisms for them. But Lehens gets caught, and they use it as an engage option. He uses his stopwatch here, and then the Gnar comes through. Unfortunately, it's still just a little bit mistimed and disjointed here, so he has to use his Gnar to escape. And this doesn't end up being the fight that Afrika wanted. They end up losing the Rift Herald. Dread just barely flashes out of here, but this is just uncalled for.
Yeah.
Nobody's blocking for him. There's no vision. There's nobody spawning for him. And Dread was in here. They just didn't have vision on him, so they don't expect that he's actually going to come steal, to their credit. Like, there's no expectation that someone is hiding in there, but not even a single ward means you're going to get punished sometimes in moments like this.
Yeah, just a little bit sad. Life expecting the Lee Sin to go home after limping out with barely any health, but instead he steals their red buff and the dragon. So Dread just, getting everything for nothing there pretty beautifully, as now Fly's in trouble. Emperor's Divide going to lock him down, throws out an ultimate as chovy's relatively low, and now Dread looking to try and grab him here. The flash is going to be used to make sure that Q doesn't connect. That is going to deny any follow-up. So good pick there from Hanwha, but they're going to need more than that.
Yeah, a few of these advantages that Afrika have are suddenly eroding away when small mistakes like this do happen. It was a really nice proactive play from Life Esports to punish there. Fly uses his flash because the expectation is that Dread will trade it back, but he's unsuccessful. So he loses his flash for nothing there too, which is actually really frustrating as a Sender who wants to be side laning against a comp like this right now where you can be threatened. So that's actually a big loss for Afrika. The gold lead is not, massive here either. It's still significant, but it's not a, shoe-in by any means. So you really got to be careful about small mistakes like this on the map as Afrika Freaks.
Yeah. And as you can see, interesting as far as the allocation of kills. All 3 of them for Hanwha have gone to the Trundle somehow, which is absolutely hilarious. Even that last one where you could see that Chovy did a fair bit of the work, but didn't actually manage to reap the full benefit of that one. Still, farming out very, very nicely is Chovy as per usual.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that Chovy wasn't able to pick up any of those kills early on, but still a lot of money going to him. He does have the lead along with Ash there that Hanwha Esports are holding in those lanes. But the lead for Keen is just exploding. He's up to now almost 3,000. He's been able to side lane freely because no one can punish him. They can punish the Syndra, but they cannot punish the Gnar. And even if someone engages on top of him, he can easily get out and potentially even kill while on his way out if you mess up the engages. I think this is going to be the catch on fly. Yep. Very greedy. They don't have vision here. Dread's nearby, so you feel safe about this. But after he gets caught here, he flashes to the brush to try to buy time so that Dread can come over. And he does trade flashes, so I guess that's one thing. But ends up losing out on that one.
Yeah, Dread almost gets in there and manages to make something happen. Is Shirley going to pop down in the mid lane? Willa going to soak Q just to make sure that Shirley can get towards this turret. There's a pillar going to come through to make sure that keeps Shirley alive. Fly takes a bit of damage there from the arrow. Chains of Corruption are going to be the response though, as Vista finds the Devour onto Chovy, which will spare his life. They did do a fair bit of damage there to the outer turret, so that's certainly good news for Hanwha Esports.
Yeah. Definitely a trade-up of ultimates. Ash Arrow basically on a 0-second cooldown, so that's going to be back up in just a moment.
Yep.
As for Hanwha Esports here, if you end up giving Soul Point over, you don't have any side lane pressure in this game because unfortunately your Wukong isn't a champion. He's 0-3.
Yeah.
So you're not really going to be able to stop Afrika from getting that soul if you end up losing out on this one. So you really need this very badly before the gap between these two teams gets even wider, especially in the top laners. So I think just grouping here, as they are now, is definitely the way to play this. Try to play around your engage tools. Ash Arrow's still not up, unfortunately. It's going to be just barely not when this Drake spawns.
Good avoidance there from Willa to be able to clear out that control ward. Dread going to grab some irremovable vision in this Rift Scuttler as Hanwha Esports fight for control of mid. Keen off to the side is absolutely terrifying though, and needs to be respected. You can see Hanwha Esports now too scared to even enter the river with Keen threatening that Narbar.
They know where Morgan is. It's not a secret. He was just on the bottom side, so they know he could flank potentially. They're just going to try to race this, rush it down.
Well, we'll see whether Willa can actually get over here. Doesn't have flash available and he's nowhere near the pit, so it looks like Hanwha Life are just going to lose this dragon and the Trundle just falls for free. Dread in a little bit of trouble here as in goes Morgan, finds the Cyclone onto Keen, who's very low. Arrow's going to connect for a fair bit of damage, but Keen is still alive for the moment. And there is the flash over from Morgan. Fly down extraordinarily low. Finally, the Wukong grabs himself the kill onto the Syndra, but it's a 1-for-1 in the end, and Afrika get a free Drake.
They get the free Drake. It was a really nice decision from Afrika to just look to rush down the Drake. They had way better positioning there. They knew it. They knew where Morgan was. There's no surprise. There's no secret. So you actually can just group up, and you have the damage at this stage to actually just burst that thing down, and that's exactly what they did. Smite was missed by like 9 health, which was really scary for a second, but Dread was able to take it away. It was not the cleanest, but when you know that you have this insane positional advantage, look at where everyone is here for Hanwha Esports, and Lehens is in perfect position to actually peel to make sure this goes in. It was 8 health there on the Drake. But you end up getting the instant blow up on the Willer, and you can retreat and get out of here. Morgan has a heroic attempt, but it's not enough to get much more.
There's a catfish delivery here as Vista going to be able to eat the Grey Health, but it's not going to keep him alive. And Leo's going to help lock him down. Almost had the ultimate available, but didn't even need it in that particular instance. So just a pretty comfy pick here as Afrika have so much control over the vision. And this is exactly what their comp is so good at. Just getting these picks, controlling the map, and making sure that Hanwha are as suffocated as possible.
And it all becomes way easier when there's no Wukong to worry about, and they guaranteed that so early on. I mean, look at what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, stay away from the turret while you're not even safe there.
It does at least avoid a few of these skill shots, but still, you're exactly right. They can zone them out of the way. Should be able to lock down this outer turret pretty comfortably. And with Azir trying to pick up that top lane farm and Wukong having to you know, try and fish for some scraps on the bottom side. It's just too difficult for Hanwha Life Esports to defend.
And that's about as deep as you can go as the Azir and the Wukong in this case. Like, you see where they're both just clearing waves and looking to back because you can't push up in side lane. You can't do anything right now with Dread on the map. He'll find you and he'll kill you. And you're just too far behind. You can't trade anything. So you have to wait for the farm to come to you. And in those moments, like you said, the vision control goes to Afrika. As we watch this pick happen once again, Vista just trying to control some of that vision because it's been taken away from him so much. Like, it was in live, he was trying to clear it up again. Like, he's like, just trying to do my job. I need to know where Dread is at all times. Like, this is where he is in live. He's trying to get that vision, but if you don't have it and you don't know where Dread is, you might just die, and that's the terror that Hanwha Life Esports have to deal with right now.
Yeah, now they're almost 5,000 gold behind, actually closer to 4. So I guess it's not quite that dire, but it's still certainly a worrying time. 2 minutes until that Mountain Soul is available for Afrika. That means that the team fight is just going to be so incredibly scary. Lord Dominic's going to be next on the menu for Deft, you could imagine, as chovy going to be rushing towards that Void Staff as quickly as he can, if that Drake is going to be an eventuality.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really worried for him. I'm worried for Dread for just a moment, but yeah. He's okay. Wasn't really worried for him.
No, he's going to be safeguard available.
I wonder if, like, right now, Hanwha Life Esports look like with this vision clear they're looking for and all the information they've tried to regain on their side of the jungle, if their best option is to try to trade the soul for Baron and try to make a push happen grouped up.
Whoop, arrow. Just going to sail majestically by. Looks pretty cool with that skin as well. I like the plants.
They're going to get
Chain
this
disruption going to miss. Turret. Yeah, they should be able to lock that one down as Willa now trying to zone Fly, who's completely out in no man's land. Keen finds the ult, but only onto Vista as Deft gets himself out of the way. But the turn onto Willa is huge. Keen gets exhausted as well. As now the Monkey tries to do something, but he's going to fail, unfortunately. Emperor's Divide still up for chovy. Also still has his flash. Not actually able to get into a position to do damage with it, as Hanwha still on the push.
I guess it's just, you know, right now, Hanwha Life Esports trying to get anything they can with this advantage in terms of positioning, but they can't stay much longer or they will actually overextend and die. 40 seconds to go mean that Afrika will be able to reset very easily here and look for that Drake. And you can see Hanwha Life Esports attempting to get a lot of vision around the Baron. It doesn't really stick, though. Afrika actually shut that down. So, you know what I was talking about moments ago about maybe as Hanwha Life you could try to trade the Baron for the Drake if you can control that vision, or maybe you can look for a turn, right? That's something you could look for, but Fly here looks like he's in danger, but then you realize he's a Fed Syndra, so... He's like, actually, I don't think you should walk towards me, in fact. And then you get the pick onto Wukong, and Afrika actually clear all of that vision so quickly. And if this were a more even game state, or if Trundle built tanky, maybe he lives a little bit longer there and Hanwha Life can get something out of this, but now you don't have really any options. You don't have any vision control. You can't trade objectives. Dread's just going to take this for free while Afrika control the Baron. Like, yeah, it looks like checkmate to me.
It's absolutely not what you want. Hanwha wanting to try and trade this Drake for the Baron. As Morgan looking for a flank position. Dread going to be rotating over. Actually does get off the Drake. As you can see, Hanwha getting this Baron down to about half health. They want to set up for this fight as Keen clearing out control vision where he can. Hanwha, they get away from the Baron. As Dread locks up that Rift Scuttler. Keen with his Narbar, and Hanwha Life Esports want nothing to do with it. chovy finds a bit of extra damage, and he does do a fair bit of it on this Azir right now.
The Narbar is waited out. So
yeah, they're waiting for it.
Yeah, this is pretty huge for Hanwha Life if they want to look for a big play here. Unfortunately, they still don't have enough vision to make it happen.
I think just allowing that soul to go down for free, though, is something they absolutely don't want to do.
Yeah.
Keen to charge his Narbar on a Mountain Soul in order to get that one up for the next time. As you can see, starting to build now as the Drake is going to get taken down. Hanwha wanting to trade it for a Baron once again.
This time it's too slow, and this time it's 2 on the Drake, so they will get the Drake and rotate. Deja vu here, but even worse for Hanwha Life.
Yep, I've seen this movie before, and Afrika got a redo, being able to actually sit on the Drake. As, yeah, well, it's down to about half health here, as Morgan is able to at least avoid Scatter the Weak, but isn't going for any sort of engage, as Willa throws down the Subjugate. Dread now in there, it's going to be a 50-50. Won by Willa as the W from Keen is not going to connect. Hanwha Life Esports flashes out of the way as that wallop is going to go wide as well. Dread trying to get towards this Hanwha team as Vista abyssally dives his way out. Morgan is, of course, dead, and Hanwha are now getting corralled by the rest of Hanwha Live. Keen down to half health. It looks like he has no fear whatsoever. Chovy tries to get in there, finds two with the Emperor's Divide. He will go down, but he trades his life for Lehens. But Afrika are just too far ahead. Def now the last man standing, and Afrika should be able to chase him down.
Oh yeah, the negatives are going to start coming through here on that Baron power play as Deft is going to get blocked out by this teleport here. No retreat, no escape, no chance. Not going to be able to trade this. Dread kicks him away, and that is going to be Baron buff removed from the map from all 5 players here on the side of Hanwha Life Esports. It was a nice smite from Willer, but the end result is Afrika get the soul, deny the Baron, now have even more map control, and they're going to push to start threatening inhibitors.
Yeah.
If not win the game.
Unfortunately, too little too late on almost everything, to be perfectly honest. You know, I think giving away a soul for free, that's bad enough, but then, you know, Hanwha didn't really find any angle to attack and just allowed Afrika to rain down whatever skill shots that they had at them. Let's have a look at it one more time.
I mean, the amount of threats that Afrika have is just so insane. Look at the burst damage here. Like, where'd he go? He's gone.
I didn't even notice.
I mean, he's been dead all game, sadly. And
yeah.
Look at the chase potential you have. Like, this is what I'm saying. Both these teams are have so much CC that when you start winning a fight, you just win it and there's no way out. And when you hit the Scour of the Week here, that's like the last nail in the coffin, because unfortunately, even with Chovy's heroic play here, he doesn't have enough damage to wipe the whole team by himself. He doesn't have any survivability. There's no peel for him. So yeah, it looks really cool for a second, and then his team falls behind him. As Deft, sadly, will not be able to trade anything here. It doesn't even have mana. Poor Ash.
Yeah, that was a sad time. I mean, Dread kicking him out of the queue from Fly was a little bit sad for Fly, but otherwise it was guaranteed. And now Hanwha Life Esports circling the drain at this stage. 13-5 is the kill score. Only 1 turret has gone down for Hanwha Life Esports. And Afrika, as you can see, they're creating a little bit of a cliff here when it comes to this gold graph.
Yeah, and Chovy's got his Death Cap. He's got his Morellonomicon. He only has the 1 stack on his Dark Seal, sadly, but you know he's hoping for more at some point. He's praying.
Maybe next game.
maybe next game, indeed. But I mean, what do you do at this point as Hanwha Life Esports? You can't side lane. You don't have any pressure. I mean, look at Dread. He's just going to actually take the damage and not care about it. He has a stopwatch now. So does Fly. They haven't even needed them in any of their fights, but they have that extra insurance if push comes to shove. Yeah. And as Afrika, you just wait for Elder to spawn, and then you're like, okay, game's over. And if you get any picks, you just win.
And their setup around any of these is just so dangerous as well, as at least that scatter is not going to connect. As Dread looking for the wrap around, try and give Afrika the most ability to siege here. But their composition just sieges so well anyway. They don't even need to get themselves a Baron or anything like that. As you can see,
yeah,
the extra range they do have for themselves is just so incredibly valuable here.
Every time there's a minion wave, they just let it crash. Meanwhile, you know, Keen's pushing, gets a wave onto that turret. That's another inhibitor now threatened.
I mean, Keen is actually just the elephant in the room, and Hanwha Life Esports are doing their very best to be like, if we don't look at it, it doesn't exist, yeah, right? Surely. We can take these 4, maybe. Well, no, they probably can't, because that's a 5-0-4 lead sim.
They save,
also terrifying.
They save the inhibitor, but this turret is going to go down with the next wave. Well, the thing is, Afrika are winning no matter what, because even if they don't get this turret with this next wave, Keen comes back, okay, well, I've got this one. They're playing tennis with Hanwha Life Esports, and in, you know, a minute and 20, after you play the game of tennis where Hanwha Life Esports lose repeatedly and lose structures, they just get the Elder Drake. So, I mean, they're doing their best to hold on. Unfortunately, it doesn't look realistic as Dread may have miscalculated there, the minion wave.
Just a little bit. It looked a little bit like Afrika were on a Baron push. They just didn't happen to have the Baron buff.
Yeah, it's like, okay. The minions should be shooting from further away, right? And be very big and purpley.
Yeah. Where's that purple thing surrounding me? Oh, yeah, we didn't get the buff. Oh, well, let's just continue sieging relentlessly.
There's a lot of vision, to be totally frank. Look at all the words on the bottom side of the blue jungle.
Yeah.
It is really almost overwhelming what Hanwha Life Esports have to do when they don't know. Like, if you showed their vision, it would just be the whole map would be dark, completely black, and You can't walk into Scat of the Weeks or, you know, Elysian is going to kick you alone as a support. Like, look at how carefully Vista has to move forward.
Well, this is definitely a teleport that you can do. Is Chovy going to shift some sands to get himself out of the way from Keen. And Hanwha going to make their way down the southern side to get towards this Elder Drake that's spawning in 9 seconds time. Fly scattering, not actually finding all that much damage there. Onto Vista and Willa, whose King's Tribute is going to get him back to full health pretty quickly.
Hey, look at Dread here. He's just trying to cut off anyone, especially Chovy. If he can find an angle, he will just execute him.
Death just thrown underneath the turret here, and the shield bow is not going to keep him alive. The stopwatch will for a little while as Vista finds the Devour, but Def needs so many cooldowns to keep himself alive as Dread looking for the backline, gets the kick onto Willa, not exactly the priority target as Dread goes golden for the moment. There's the Emperor's Divide, but does basically nothing there as the Azir is just going to fall immediately. Def now trying to run for the hills. Morgan with a bit of a desperate ult there in towards the backline. Hysteric's helping him out as now Lehen's looking to chase down Def as he throws up the Unbreakable. There's the exhaust. As now Leo is just going to finish off the Ashe, and everyone's dead now on Hanwha Life Esports' side, and the Elder is not even going to get taken as Keen. He's had enough of this game.
Yeah, he's like, I threw Deft in the turret. That means I can kill the Nexus, right? Right, Coach? That's what I'm pretty sure that's the rules.
Yeah.
That's going to be game one, going over to a Freak of Freaks. A very clean game from them. Early control of the top side.